My name is Peter Wright, with a W. Born in Lincoln, 1st of April 1936, to Mary and Frank. We came to Sarrott's 1965. I lived, before I met Grace, in the Water Gardens in Salisbury's Lane, on my own with a dog. Frank went in the army during the war, was away for 6 years. My mother worked for a bootmending firm in Lincoln. There was friction. My mother had a boyfriend, so we moved to stay with my grandmother in Norfolk, in a cottage. No water, no electric, no gas, nothing. We stayed there for about a year during the 46, 47 winter, where the snow was really deep. We then went to stay with a friend of my mother's in Langham, Norfolk, where we were opposite a prisoner of war camp. And there was Ukrainians, prisoner of war, SS Ukrainians, right in a field, in a camp opposite us. We were living in the middle of nowhere. There was a position in Denham Film Laboratories. So I was 16-year-old, sticky out ears, and never done very much. So I used to catch a steam train from South Ryde to Denham Holt. And one day I'd come in, it was a nice hot summer's day, and I, being an outside type person, as I came in, they'd overrun. They came through washes. The film, the 35mm, came through washes. The managing director came in, and I let one of the reels overrun. I said to him, "Well, you better get on with it then." And that was me, colour me gone. And I was gone. I worked then for about 6 months in a local garage, and then was called up for national service, which I signed on for 4 years because I wasn't going in the army. 240 Squadron, Shackletons, and spent the next 4 years on Shackletons at Ballykelly and got demobbed from there. But in the meantime, I went from at Ballykelly, detached everywhere, to Christmas Island in 1957. I was there 2 years as weather aircraft and keeping Japanese shipping out of a certain area on certain dates. Three H-bombs they dropped there while I was there. We left Ballykelly for the Azores, stayed overnight with the Americans and the Portuguese, to Bermuda, stay overnight, South Carolina, stay overnight, Texas, El Paso, stay overnight, Travis Air Force Base, California, stay overnight, Hawaii, 4 or 5 days recuperation, and then onto the island, which is in the Central Pacific. So we arrived at the island to be met by an RAF guy with a crab on a string. You lived in tents, 6 to a tent, bucket sunk in the sand in the middle of the thing, made your own table, made your own beds, 2 ammunition boxes, strips of wood, and turned one of these roll-up beds, just a piece of canvas with slip-in legs, and you nail them to the planks to keep you off the floor because there were rats and crabs. We lived in the sun. We just had a pair of shorts. That's all we had, a pair of flip-flops. That's what we worked in. Well, what happened then, I'll tell you, I got demobbed from Ballykelly in 1958. And I came home to Ruislip. I saw in the local estate, a local shop, newsagent, room to let. Wrote to my girlfriend in Ireland and got her to come over and stay in the house. We then spent a year on and off. and we got married. We lived with my mother for a while, and I used to come home from work, and there was atmosphere with my wife. She wasn't very easy to get on with. Anyway, I thought, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I signed on again. I went back in the Air Force, 1960, and I was posted onto a major repair team, which was doing majors on Vulcans. So I found a caravan to let in Waddington Village. I was posted to Scampton to form 617 Squadron with B2 Vulcans, Blue Steel. Then we had a spina bifida son, and I had to take him to Sheffield. I didn't have a car, got a taxi from Nocton Hall, which is in the middle of nowhere. Then they took him away. They kept him in Sheffield Children's Hospital about 3 months. They sewed up his spine. They sewed up this Dr. Orst, he's an Austrian, sewed up the bottom of his spine. He had a Spitz-Hunter valve fitted in his head, because these children used to get big heads. He had a Spitz-Hunter valve fitted in his head. He had a crossed eye. They kept him there, and they did all these things for him. But when he came home, he was always never going to walk. But he died when he was 34. And he was never going to live a complete life. But he smoked, he drank, liked a pint, liked a fag. At the particular time, there was a problem with Kennedy and the business of Khrushchev and Cuba. And the Vulcan Squadron with Blue Steel was coming onto service, where the squadron were on 4-minute warning. But I've got a spina bifida son who can't walk. So they decide then they're going to give us KD, which is khaki drill, and we're going to go to Khartoum. I've got an Irish wife who doesn't work, got a spina bifida son who can't walk, I've got no transport, and all of a sudden they want me to be flown away to Khartoum, leave my family, and just bomb. So I said, no. The wife and I, we split up after a certain amount of time, but she was not easy to get along with, and presumably I'm not either. Oh, I did have Cornwall. Cornwall. I had 2 years in Cornwall, at 14th Century Guest House. That bit, I forgot about that. Someone to run catering, Cornish Beauty Spot, box number. Anyway, I took that over for 2 years, and I had it for 2 years, 1976 and 1977. And we lived in a shed in Tintagel. I said, I'll give you a tenner a week. And I said, we'll turn one of the sheds round and we'll buy some furniture and do it up, which we did. But I used to like a night out with the boys. Roy was in the one-armed bandit business. And this guy, Dennis, turned up. He used to sell cards. I was repping at the time. I had a new car, suited and booted. So all of a sudden I go into Six Bells one day. Oh, I'd met Grace before, because she was a friend of the Clay Pigeon landlady. And she thought, okay, let's get together. Grace and I were then going steady, and then she rolled my car. Oh, we did have the Lido. Do you know the Lido, Ruislip Lido? You never been? It's a lake. Sandy beach over one side, put new sand over there every year. It's a big beach, but they had a cafe over the other side. So I said, well, look, I'll take it over and I'll give the manager 15% of whatever I take. I did burgers, hot dogs, tea, coffee, chocolate, everything. And I earned a fortune. Biggest lesson I've learned basically is work. Do not sit about. Everybody's got something you're good at. Whatever. Do it. Go for it. I bought a computer because I did exactly as you're thinking. Why doesn't the internet, how it sorts everybody out? I thought, now I should get onto this. I should do this. I should get internet savvy. And the kids today, they live with it. They live with it. But the trouble is, I think it can take you over. I do really think it can. I think it could take me over. The 20%ers was a group of blokes played every Sunday morning. There was about 40 players, and there were 29 of them were single handicaps. Came from everywhere, Scotland, Ireland, all over the place, all good golfers, most of them. So I started to play with them, and then I won the Paul Cup in 1975. I played in the Coronation Cup at Harefield Place, which I won in 1974. And I was down to 9 handicap, and then I went to Cornwall. And I didn't play for 2 years. For the future, I would say there's going to be no world wars. There won't be any more world wars because the weapons have got too sophisticated. China and India will take more of a, China especially. China will become dominant. America, they won't be far behind because they're a very clever race. And England, we have got some very clever people in England. And I believe England will keep its spot. There's some very clever people, English people, are very clever people, basically because of the education system. It's good. I'm not a Labour person. I'm not a socialist. And believe you me, a working man is his own worst enemy. Because he wants. But he don't want to put much back. Well, I don't believe in lucky breaks. I believe in lucky breaks come through a bit of you picking them out at the time. I hate aristocrats. Most of them have come from slave trading or doing something or other. They've misused people, and somewhere along the line, somebody has given them the money to misuse people. And royalty, to be honest with you, they're shooting themselves in the foot, aren't they? I mean, if the newspaper didn't have Harry and bloody Meghan to talk about, they wouldn't sell any papers, would they? Happiest memory. Do you know that it's a very strange thing? My happiest memory is Veronica. I loved that woman. And I think happiness, but even then I loved May as well. I loved both. All 3 women, I've had 3 women in my life, and all 3 of them I've loved. All 3 of them. And the one I trust is this one I've got. She is, but I couldn't have married her when I was young. Oh, she'd be murder. Women, I think mainly. I like women. I'm a woman kind of a person. And the happiest times is when we've been driving down to somewhere, going somewhere. Don't worry about things. Get on with it.